I woke up just after 5:45. It was about 15 degrees out. There was snow on the ground. The house had dropped from about 72 degrees when we went to bed last night, and it dropped to 67 degrees when I woke up. It was time to warm up a bit. You poke around at the coals, put some new wood in. When the fire finally gets going, I sit down to read. Life doesn't get any better than this. Hey everybody, Chad Cruiser here with Health and Homestead, and if you end up liking this video, hit the subscribe button. So you're thinking of heating your house with wood, or maybe you just want to have a backup just in case the electric goes out, the gas for some reason goes out, or your propane runs empty. You want to be able to heat with wood. Well, I'm going to share with you 12 different things that are very important so you don't make a mistake in the process of transitioning to burning or heating with wood. There's basically 4 ways to heat your house in general. You have the wood stove, you have the wood cook stove, you have an outdoor wood burner, and then you have the traditional fireplace. There's positives and negatives to each one of these, so let's break this down a little bit. Now you want to think this through. There's some things that if you make a mistake, you could be in a heap of trouble. So we want to talk about this. Traditionally, houses in the United States, many of them, the older houses, have fireplaces. Fireplaces are great because they produce a little bit of heat, and they create a beautiful ambiance in the house. It's just a very nice experience. The trouble with traditional fireplaces is that they really aren't efficient. So they burn up a lot of wood and they don't give you a lot of heat in exchange for that wood. The good thing is that you can actually get an insert and place that inside many of the old fireplaces, and this can actually, some of them will have a fan that will blow the heat back into the house, and this is much more efficient for you if you're thinking of heating with wood. Standard fireplaces generally are not the best option to give you the most heat per amount of wood that you're burning. The one thing that you can do to sidestep this is often if you have a fireplace and you have a massive stone structure up leading out of your house, that stone can actually heat up because of the wood, and as a result, that thermal mass can hold on to that heat, and even when the fire is not going, it can be releasing that into your house. So that's one way to offset that, but in general, fireplaces are not the most efficient if you're looking for efficiency. Like we said, there's also the wood burner that you have outside. Now this has many positives and some, negatives to it too. One of the great positives is that it's outside, and that's a positive and a negative. The positive is that you don't trek into the house the dust, and you don't open it up and get some of the ash onto the, your living room or your kitchen or wherever you have the wood stove. It's outside, and so all the filth, all the ash, everything stays outside. Plus that makes you less likely to burn your house down. I mean, I guess it's still possible, but it's much less likely if you have an outdoor wood burner. One of the things about them is they're not the most efficient. You put a ton of wood in there and they do heat the house well, but they're not quite as efficient as having something like an indoor wood stove. But they are a fantastic way to heat a house, and in some cases, they may be your only option because of legalities, and we're going to talk about that later. What's becoming more and more popular is the standard wood stove. Now these go back hundreds of years. I mean, the oldest wood stove is probably like from the 1600s, that at least is extant that we still have today. But these have been around for hundreds of years, and the thing about them is they put out a ton of heat. They're heating from all directions. This one here has some heat shields so that you can put it closer to the wall or the wall over here. But these right here are just fantastically efficient. They heat your house. There's almost nothing like wood heat. As they put off that infrared heat, they heat the furniture, they heat the walls. You think, well, doesn't that happen when you have a standard furnace in the house? To a very, very small degree, but typically it just heats the air, and then once it's gone, the house is heated for a bit, and then it has to flip back on. But these, I put some wood in there at night, and this is not an unbelievably efficient one, but it is quite efficient. It's not like some of the Blaze Kings. I mean, if you've got the money, a Blaze King, they may be $3,000–4,000 plus, but those things, you can fill them up, And you can, once you get the fire going well, and they have catalytic converters, those ones, this one does not have a catalytic converter. Once you get that catalytic converter running, you can turn them down, and that thing can go for 2, maybe almost 3 days on one load of wood. Now that's incredible, and you can imagine why people love getting a Blaze King. But for us who we're starting off and we don't have all kinds of money, we go a cheaper route like this. But even this one here, I can put my wood in at night, I can wake up in the morning, the house is still decently comfortable. I mean, 67 is not too bad. I mean, it's a little on the cool side, but it warms right up. I come down here and start it off in the morning. So wood stove's an option. The next option is the wood cook stove. If you're looking to cook your food, I mean bake bread and these kinds of things, or cook pizza or whatever it is, wood cook stove, especially if you're making that your main option, you're off the grid, or you're just thinking, hey, maybe there's going to be difficult times, having a wood cook stove is a great option. I don't have a wood cook stove. They do cost more money. They're a fantastic option. But the good news is I can cook on this one. You can get these metal risers called trivets, or I can just set things on here, and we warm up. Just today we warmed up some of our food over on this section here because it's not as hot as over here. And with a trivet, you can be boiling your water, you can be cooking things right here. But if you really, really want to be doing things like baking, the wood cook stove is a great option for you. One of the downsides to the wood cook stove is that often, not always, but most of the time, they don't have as large of a firebox. So what that means is you have to be throwing in wood more often. One of the other things to think about that most people don't realize is that some of the wood stoves or the wood cook stoves actually have the ability to hook in a coil so that you can plumb your water system into here, and you can actually be heating your water for free. That is, if you fell your own trees and use your own wood. So you can, if you decide to, actually plumb in your system, and that way you can do a couple things with that. You could do either radiant heating in your flooring, or you could simply be using this for your shower or your kitchen sink, warming up for the dishes, or for just, bathing and so forth. So that is a tremendous option. Now, typically that's an add-on, an extra fee with certain wood stoves, and most wood stoves, by the way, do not come with them, but you can look specifically. Here's one from Obadiah's right here. This one's beautiful, actually. It's called the Tim System, the North Hydro wood-fired oven with boiler. And I don't work for Obadiah's. I have no connection to them. I don't get paid for saying this. It's just they seem to have a lot of good wood stoves, and just a certain website to check out there. And what a cool option that you can actually do this. So this is both a wood cook stove, but it also has the option to make it a boiler system. So this is something to look into if you have any interest. But once again, these do cost much more than a cheap model like this. Like, I think we paid maybe $700 for this new. You can often go find them on Craigslist. You can find them for $200, $300, $400. But then we thought, hey, for a few $100 more, we'll get a brand new one. Cheaper end, it's the lower end Drolet. But the great thing is these things may last you 20, 25, 30 years. And so when you think of the amount of money you put into it, and you think about the amount of time that they last, that's just something to consider. So, and once you have it, once you bought it, if you bought it with cash, I mean, after that, you're saving, all winter long, the propane you could be spending, or the electric, or whatever you're using to heat your house. With this, you're saving just an intense amount of money. So something to think about is when you're purchasing your wood stove, you need to know the square footage of your house, because some wood stoves are made for very small spaces, like 600-700 square feet. There may be even some even smaller than that. And you wouldn't want one that is made to heat 700 square feet in a house that's 3,000 square feet. Nor would you want one that is made to heat 3,000 square feet in a 700 square foot house. So you think, man, why not? That would be nice and warm. It would be warm, but you probably have to have all the windows and doors open too in the winter, because it would just blow you out of the house with heat. So in general, you want to buy one that is designed for the size structure, the dwelling that you're living in. This is just kind of technical information, but it's good to know now, as of 2020, there is something that the EPA has where they actually standardize wood stoves that they have to be EPA certified for 2020. And what that does is they actually, before they start selling the new wood stoves, they have to be tested, and they show that their emissions have to be under 2.5 or 2.5 grams an hour, which means these things are incredibly efficient. Before it was like 4.5 grams per hour, which was still very efficient, but now they're down to 2.5 grams an hour. And what this means is when you have a rip-roaring fire going in a wood stove like this one is the 2020 compliant model, that when you have that going, you can be outside looking up at your smokestack and there is no smoke coming out of your smokestack. You can see the heat rising just like you'd see, on the highway as the heat is coming up off the highway, but no smoke is coming out. Now that's when it's running efficiently. If it's not running efficiently, or if you're sticking some wet wood in there, you're gonna have smoke coming out of there. And if you got a bunch of, billows of smoke coming out, you're also gonna be having what's called creosote. And creosote is this soot that will start to cake inside both the wood stove, the firebox, also up the pipe. And as it's going up, it can begin to collect. And if it collects too much, it can actually cause a fire inside the pipe. And you obviously don't want that. You can burn the house down that way. But typically over time, you'll get some of that in there anyway. And that's why each year, you might want to be cleaning your pipe maybe 2-3 times. If it's running very efficiently and you're not creating a lot of creosote, just every year would probably be fine, but you want to check on that from time to time. Now when it comes to wood cook stoves, so not the standard wood stove, but the wood cook stoves, they actually don't have to be 2020 compliant. So if you buy one of those, you don't have to worry about that. Now here's a very simple point, but if you're new to wood stoves, and by the way, that's who this video is for, that your wood that you burn, you don't just go cut a tree down and throw it in your wood stove. You want it to dry out. And so if the tree comes down and it's totally green, you cut it up, and as you do, you have your rounds, and when you have your rounds, you need to split them, and then they need to start drying. In general, they need to wait at least a year. And that's a year after they're split. So you already have them ready to be put in the fire, but they're not ready for a year. And so your manual that comes with your wood stove will probably tell you what percentage moisture is allowed inside the wood that you're gonna put in your wood stove. And it's typically gonna be under about 20%, 15 to 20%. And you can actually use one of these here. This simple device, I think I paid $12 for this thing. So, I mean, they're almost giving them away. You simply push this into the wood and turn it on, and it will tell you what percentage moisture is inside your wood. And as long as it's under 20, you're good to go. You're good to burn that. That wood is what we call seasoned. That's seasoned wood. And you don't want to burn green wood because green wood is going to create more of that creosote. Now, another key thing, now here's where we get to the mistakes. One of the mistakes that you could make is just buying a wood stove, having it installed, getting it all ready to go, and then finding out your insurance will not cover your house now because you have a wood stove. Now you might be thinking, oh man, that kills it. If I can't have insurance, I'm not going to get a wood stove. Well, it's some insurance companies. The insurance company that we had said, nope, you can't do that. And so we went and found an insurance company that would. And so depending on where you live, it's probably a little different, but you can probably find a company that will allow you both to have a wood stove and to have home insurance. And so look into that, make sure you do that right. That would be a massive mistake to go through, thousands of dollars, because it doesn't only cost like, okay, $700 for the wood stove. There's probably another $2,000 going up all the way. So the wood stove is not the full price. So you might think, oh, I can handle $2,000, but can you handle the rest of it, hooking it up so that you actually have it vented? But when it comes to insurance, another key aspect to know is that mobile homes, if you have a mobile home, there are specific wood stoves that are mobile home certified or mobile home approved. So don't make that mistake of buying a wood stove that is not certified for your house, because then, or your mobile home, you may have the very same problem that now you can't have insurance. Now, if your house is to the point where you say, I don't care. I mean, if it burns down, that's okay. It's not worth it. Now, many mobile homes cost a lot of money. And so if you have a newer mobile home or your house is worth something, that's something to really consider, that you want to find out, number one, will your insurance company allow you? I have a friend he said he was not able to get insurance on his mobile home with an indoor burner. So what he did was he got an outdoor burner. He was able to still heat his house with wood, but he had to have an outdoor wood burner. So check in your locality what the legalities are. Check with your insurance company, and if your insurance company says no, check and to see if there are some other ones that may be able to work with you on that. Now, if I had to do this all over again, there's one thing I might change, and that is, rather than having the stovepipe come straight out, there are benefits to this also, is to have it come out the back and go straight outside instead of going up through the house, having it go straight up, and then you have a 90-degree angle going up over the roof, and then also have a drop under it. Now, why might I want to do that? Because then what you can actually do, you can make super easy access to cleaning. You can simply open up the bottom, you can push up your sweep through there, and anytime you just walk outside and then all that debris, all the creosote, all the dust, all the ashes just drop down maybe into a bucket outside. Now you can do that inside too, but it's inside, right? And so if it's inside, what does that mean? That means you're gonna get dust and debris and ashes in the house. Yes, there's ways to work around that, I get that, but how much nicer if you could do that outside? So these are just 12 simple things to know. Each person has to make the decision for what works best for them. And so I'd love to hear in the comments what you're thinking of doing, what your thoughts are, anything you think I should have added to the video, put it down there in the comments section. And if you like this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. God bless and have a fantastic day.